What's up guys, today we're going to be going over the judgment role I've been talking about in a lot of my videos. There's going to be a few different roles in this video that I think are definitely worth your time and worth getting this season because of the way they pair with most of the builds that I've been making. The judgment has quickly become one of my favorite kinetic primaries in PvE, and I think it pairs the best with 1k or sleeper. So in this video we'll first be going over how to farm this weapon, then breaking down the perks in the left and the right, and going over the few god rules for the weapon. Let's go and begin. First, how do you farm this weapon? It is from the first boss encounter in Prophecy. There's going to be a quick way to get to that encounter from the beginning. What you do is just jump up onto this floating ball. Then on any character, you jump up into this tunnel. Then you pull out your sparrow. You want to use a few boosts to get some speed going. Then at least save one, so when you get to the top, you dodge into one of the corners, and you just jump off and activate your jump, and now you're on this platform, and you just simply jump across. If you're playing on Hunter, you will need a sword to make this final jump. Then on Warlock, you can use Icarus to make it across. And that is the most simplified way to get over here on all three characters. Then you just do the encounter as normal, or if you want to be efficient, when you pick up the modes, what you can do is hit both of the lights or both of the darks at the same time. And there are two very simple lineups. From right here, for the light, you just jump right between both of them, and once you're above the highest one, you just cleanse, and it should hit both of them. Once you do a few times, you'll learn the timing. It's pretty easy once you get used to it. And now the same thing for the two darks. Now from the other platform to the left of the previous one, you just jump right in between them. Once you're above the highest one, cleanse, and you're good to go. So now breaking down the weapon, first we're going to look at the right column perks and do it backwards. There's going to be 5 I want to talk about. First, Adagio, time payload, Osmosis, Adrenaline Junkie, then multi-kill clip. So first with multi-kill clip, it will be a 50% buff with ×3, which is the highest damage perk in the game for primaries. But the thing about this weapon is it doesn't have a traditional reload perk on the left. The only one that increases your reload speed is Ensemble, which doesn't even max it out, and you need allies nearby. And the base reload speed is so slow that it just overall feels pretty clumsy having to reload very often with this perk and not having great reload speed. Up next we have Adrenaline Junkie, which will give us a 33% buff with ×3. All you have to do is get 3 grenade kills. So with the right grenade build, this perk will be extremely good, and you will have that 33% buff at all times. And moving on to the new perk on the weapon, Adagio, which I haven't talked about on my channel yet. So after defeating a target, this weapon fires, charges, or draws more slowly and deals increased damage for a brief time. So when we first look at the increase this will give to our weapon, it's going to be a 25% increase, which is already lower than that of Adrenaline Junkie and multi-kill clip. And if we look at how long the perk will last, once we get the kill, it will last for 5 seconds, as you'll see. So already off the bat, it's not looking too good. Only 5 seconds of 25% more damage. And on top of that, it will decrease the rate of fire. So normally it takes 1.7 seconds to shoot off 5 shots. And with the perk going, it will now take over 2 seconds. So we compare that to a 120, which is the lowest rate of fire hand cannon in the game. As you see, it's actually slower than a 120 by a few tenths of a second. So overall, just not a fan of that perk on primaries. It could be pretty cool on specials though. We can also get time payload on this weapon, which will give it a little bit of a AoE effect on every single shot, which will help for group accurate. And looking at the damage increase of body shots and headshots with this perk, first without it, then with the perk on it, the body shot damage will go up by 16.5%, then the headshot damage will go up by almost 11%, so not bad, but obviously lower than the other damage perks. And the final one on the right I want to talk about is going to be Osmosis, which will allow this weapon to convert into Solar, Arc, Void, or Stasis, depending on which subclass you're on. And overall, I think this is the most important perk on the right because of the way it will work with builds this season, which we'll talk about more here in a second. So now moving on to the left slot, there's not going to be much to look at. The only reload based one is going to be Ensemble, which I already said doesn't really increase reload speed by that much. Then we have 2 range based ones, which are going to be kind of cool for PvP, but not that big a deal for PvE. So that pretty much just leaves us with one perk that's worthwhile, and that's going to be Demolitionist, which also pairs extremely well with some of the right column perks. So first looking at what Demo does on this weapon, with 100 discipline, as usual, it takes roughly 7 or 8 kills to get your full grenade back. Then when you throw a grenade, it will also reload the weapon. And as we mentioned, the base reload speed on this weapon is pretty bad, so that eliminates that problem for us right off the bat. And the way Demo pairs with both Osmosis and also Adrenaline Junkie is extremely good for builds this season. Pretty much take any of my builds I've uploaded so far and throw this on, and it will work perfectly. So for example, if we just take the build I uploaded yesterday with Titan and Bomb Tree Dawnblade, with the whole solar nades and solar explosions and all that good stuff. If you haven't seen that video, definitely check it out. It's one of the best builds this season. But now if we want to convert it from a Sunshot build to a 1k build for boss fights, or even Sleeper Simulant, because both will be better for boss damage compared to a linear fusion rifle, with that it's best to pair it with a regular fusion rifle in your energy slot. So that leaves you open to a Kinetic primary, and that is where this comes into play. It is by far the best option in the game for all those builds. So if we first look at the Adrenaline Junkie version, with all the nade kills, we'll have the full ×3 buff at all times, which will give us 33% damage to our hand cannon. Then on top of that, we have Firewalker, which is going to be another 35% buff on top of that. So this will result in the highest damage we can get with our hand cannon per shot at roughly 12,000 per crate in this lost sector. And because this weapon also has demo, we'll get our grenade even faster. Than when we throw our grenade, we'll never have to reload. So this works really well. But the one I think is even better is demo plus Osmosis, because it'll do everything we just said about getting your grenade faster, then throwing your grenade will reload it. But now since the weapon will be converted to solar, it will work with our elemental well mods. So it will be able to create wells from elemental armaments. Then it will also receive the 25% buff from Phantom Might. So we're losing the 33% of Adrenaline Junkie, but gaining the 25% of Phantom Might. So the net loss isn't that much at all, but now it can also create elemental wells. And that is why I think it is the best Kinetic primary in PvE to pair with 1000 Voices or even Sleeper this season. Also, I forgot to mention, once you convert it to solar, it will also proc Firewalker on Path of the Burning Steps and help keep that ×4 going. Then also on Warlock, it'll work with Verdi's Brow, which will give you grenades even faster. Obviously, I think the Sunshot version of this build is still better just for raw explosive power, but if you want to use 1000 Voices with this build, which is going to be better for a lot of different activities in the game, Demo plus Osmosis on a Judgment is pretty much as close as you can get to having a Sunshot in your Kinetic slot. And with Bomb Tree Solar on Titan, with Sun Warrior, it will be able to create Sunspots too, which will kind of give it combustion also. So that is why it's definitely worth your time to farm a Demo Osmosis and Demo Adrenaline Junkie Judgment this season, and why it is one of the best Kinetic primaries in the game. Anyways, I think that's going to be it for the video, just some strike gameplay left. Thanks for watching, catch you guys next time.